Hello folks and welcome to a very expensive car park. Welcome to Paddock Pass, your post-race edition for the 2019 Azerbaijan Grand Prix. Shall we say not a classic again? Azerbaijan has this tendency. It's either a rip snorter of a race or it can be a bit flat. You usually need a safety car for it to be an absolute barnstormer. We didn't get one today, and I think Ferrari, with the strategy they employed for Charles Leclerc, might possibly have been hoping for that safety car to come in and play its role. It never did. Of course, the eyes of everybody were on Leclerc after he dominated practice all the way through the weekend and then crashed in Q2. He would start well up in the top 10 though this morning before the race began. Kimi Raikkonen's front wing failed a deflection test. He would start the race from the pit lane along with Robert Kubica and Pierre Gasly. And Leclerc had a storming start to the race, fighting his way up eventually to take the lead on the medium tyre as everybody came into pit. But Ferrari left him out, seemingly just a little bit too long to make a two-stopper work. Certainly one stopper onto the softs wasn't doing it for him. Pitted towards the end, got a fastest lap point. Regardless of that though, the fight was on at the front between the Mercedes duo. Valtteri Bottas getting his elbows out on that first lap to stop Lewis Hamilton from getting past him. From that point on, he really did control the race, and in the dying laps as Lewis Hamilton started to cut that gap down, got into DRS range, Bottas was able to do just enough to hold his teammate behind him. So it's a second win of the season for Valtteri Bottas. Crucially, we spoke to him yesterday after qualifying. We said, do you feel this place owes you something after last year? He said, it doesn't owe me something, but I feel like the win belongs to me, and I'm going to go and race for this thing that belongs to me. It does now belong to him. That race winner's trophy, a race victory in Azerbaijan, cruelly robbed from him 12 months ago. Bottas, your winner. Lewis Hamilton, P2. And Sebastian Vettel, I think, will carry the burden of disappointment at Ferrari, that here we are, 4 races in, on a season where so much was expected, where Ferrari had dominated every practice session, and it's 4 Mercedes 1-2s in a row. Valtteri, pole to win, but not quite as simple as that. You had to fight for it today.
Yeah, definitely had to. There was Lewis putting a bit of pressure behind or trying, and he was for sure going for it and trying to get the win also with one way or another. So I'm pleased I could stay ahead, but everything was pretty well under control.
I think if anyone had any questions, you'd answered them within a lap. Talk us around that first lap, because you had to keep your elbows out to keep that lead.
Yeah, I think in the start it was actually a bit of my mistake. I was too cautious. I had the wheel spin in China, so I just didn't want to go for the wheel spin, so I was on the cautious side. So the getaway could have been a lot better, like Lewis had. But then I had to defend turn 1 on the outside, just try to carry the speed. Similar thing in turn 2. It was nice, respectful racing from both of us, and then managed to close the line into 3. So yeah, all good.
Going to Barcelona now. Last time we were in Barcelona, could you have imagined when we'd be going back there, Mercedes would have 4 1-2 victories and you'd have 2 victories?
I have to say the level the team is performing now is incredible. It's I haven't seen anything like this, so just really proud to be part of it, and we should not think about it too much. We just need to. Our list of things we can do better is still long, so we need to focus on those.
I got a great start. Valtteri did an exceptional job, and unfortunately just gave him too much room at the beginning of the race, which really was what lost me the race, I would say. And after that, it was just he drove exceptionally well, didn't make no mistakes, so there wasn't really much. It was a bit of an average performance for me this weekend, so I need to get my act together and improve for the next.
4 1-2s for the team now. You've been with this squad a long time. Is there anything markedly different? Is there anything that you're seeing this year that, I guess considering what the expectations were when we arrived in Australia, that you could mark as being anything different?
We definitely didn't expect to have the performance we have, but I'm glad we do. I just think the team is outperforming itself. You know, I don't think the team or the drivers have performed well. Valtteri have ever performed as well as they have as a whole. And that's why you're seeing, until they start performing at the level we are, then this is how it's going to be.
Ultimately, not good in the first stint, not the amount of grip that we should have had. After that, I think, the pace was okay, but on average, not quick enough.
How disappointed are you that 4 races in, it's been 4 Mercedes 1-2s, given all of the promises? Wow,
Boring.
I mean, I thought we were expecting, we were so hoping after practice.
So boring. It's not just 4 races. It's been 4 years, more or less.
What have you guys got to do then to stop that?
Work harder, work better. I think we are pushing as hard as we can, but obviously, you need to respect that they're doing phenomenally well and getting, their cars most of the time in the right place. But I'm confident. I believe in this team, and I know we can improve. I think we have a good car. We just don't manage yet to put it always where it belongs, so that it's difficult to have the trust in the field. But I'm sure it's going to turn around.
You've got all the jigsaw pieces in the box. You just need to.
Yeah, just it's like a magic cube. You just need to
Rubik's
solve
cube.
it. Yeah, or Rubik's cube. Yeah. So I think we have a lot of people that can do the Rubik's cube in under a couple of minutes. We have really clever people, but I think we're working on a large size Rubik's cube.
So it's 4 wins out of 4 for Mercedes. Ferrari once again coming home in the podium in third. Wasn't a 3-4, just like China. 3-5 for Ferrari. In the mix once again, Max Verstappen. Looked, for all the world, once again, like he had a relatively lonely race. But as you're about to hear, much positivity at Red Bull, because it wasn't a huge gap to the guys fighting for that podium ahead of him.
Well, I wouldn't say it was particularly lonely, because I always saw the Mercedes and the Ferrari ahead. So I was just trying to close the gap, and which we were doing by 7-8 seconds over that stint. So we had good pace. Just a shame with the virtual safety car, where I think I lost too much tire temperature and we couldn't get it back. And then around here you're just sliding a lot more, and I didn't want to risk it, so we just brought it home in fourth.
So even though sort of not in the mix like nose to tail, do you feel that the competitiveness is there, that you could keep them in your sights the whole time?
Well, it was clear that we were fast over the second stint. So we tried to go a bit longer on the first one. We might have lost a bit of time there. But yeah, I think in general we had a good race. We just need to understand a bit more why we lost so much tire temperature compared to the others.
And so too Charles Leclerc, P5 at the checkered flag today. As we said, he had a great start to the race, starting as he had to on the medium tyre. That was the tyre that Ferrari were hoping to get through Q2 on, in order to start this race from wherever they would qualify in Q3 on that tyre. Speaking to strategists this morning coming into the paddock, a lot of them didn't understand why Ferrari had risked that. Ultimately, the cooler temperatures on that medium tyre, Leclerc braked where he normally would have braked on the soft, and being on the medium, he just locked it up and went into the barrier. He took the blame on himself, but it seemed a risky strategy for the team to employ. In the race today, coming in about 14-15 laps into the race, when everybody else was starting to make their pit stops, there was again a feeling around here, about lap 16-17, do Ferrari pit Leclerc now and to stop him soft, let him fight through, and then soft again. We were seeing on the data on screen that had he pitted then, he would have come out in the mix with the Mercedes. Could he have taken that fight to them? Could he have got in? Could he have got his nose in potentially to fight for a podium place or a victory? Potentially, but then when one sees his pace, when he did eventually switch onto that soft tyre at the end of the race with just under 20 laps to go, he didn't have the pace that many would have expected. So perhaps that soft tyre just wasn't performing as one might have expected to today. However, had that strategy paid out, had he not crashed in Q2 and started the race from the pole position everyone expected him to have on that medium tyre, similar thing would have befallen him today. One stopper, changed onto the soft at the end, no pace. Leading once again to questions over strategy down here at Ferrari. You've already heard from Vettel, much work to be done at the team. Yes, with the car, but yes also with strategy. Here's Charles Leclerc on what could, arguably should, have been a much better weekend for both him and the team.
Yeah, well, obviously in the car I felt like I lost a little bit of time when Valtteri, Lewis and Seb passed me. So I felt that way, but on the other hand, again, I don't want to speak too early on these strategy calls because the engineers, and there's not only one engineer, there are a lot of engineers looking at the strategy, and they have a lot more tools than I do in the car. So yeah, for now I will speak with them to know just the reason why we stayed out.
The strategy that you ran, starting on the mediums, finishing on the softs, was clearly very hard for you. Had everything gone right in qualifying, that's the strategy you would have had to have from the race, maybe from the front.
Oh yeah, I think we will probably have gone from a soft and then to the medium like everyone did. It was quite difficult, especially obviously from the mid stint with the medium. They started to be worn and the others were coming with fresh rubber, and yeah. But it's one of those days.
Start must have been fun though, those first few laps.
I would not call it that fun because I was on mediums and everyone around was on soft, so I was struggling a little bit for a few laps, but then it was, once I got the grip back from the tyres, then it was fun.
There's something about this place that seems to play to Sergio Perez's strengths actually, and also to Lance Stroll's, both of them again with phenomenal races today. We'll start with Perez. Started P5 on the grid, took it to Max Verstappen on lap 1, got ahead of him and really held his own for quite a few laps until Verstappen got DRS, breezed past, and then really wasn't troubled again. But Perez really fought hard with the McLarens. A very strong day for him, came home in 6th. Lance Stroll had a frustrating qualifying, admitted to us yesterday he just wasn't on it, didn't get himself prepared as well as he should have done, was out in Q1. But another brilliant start, is one of his trademarks, flew through the field, got his elbows out, fought properly hard and got a P9. And this is a car which still, Force India, Racing Point, as we have to call them now. Well, Checo said at the start of the weekend, we're still kind of Force India. We won't be Racing Point until we get all of the upgrades on the car in Barcelona. Then that'll probably be our 2019 car. This is still the old car with some upgrades to bring it up to spec. They've scored points in every race so far this year, rounding out this opening gambit with a double point score just before those big upgrades come in Barcelona in a couple of weeks' time. Great weekend for Racing Point.
Yeah, fantastic day. Was looking good at the start, but then we just didn't have the pace to be there. Actually, we were more concerned about the McLarens than anything else. I had a good start, but then very early on we were not in that league, and the McLarens were really strong. So it was quite tough to hold them back. I was on the limit very much all the way through the race, apart from the last 2 laps. I was so much on the limit today, but yeah, happy and a good day for the team.
Yeah, good pace throughout the whole race, overtaking cars. I overtook quite a few cars on the first couple laps. I got the Toro Rosso, he was Albon, and then Ricciardo. And then Ricciardo got us back in the pit stop because we had quite a slow stop. But we just kept our nose clean throughout the race. Overtook Raikkonen in the second stint, and gained a couple of places with the contact from Kvyat and Ricciardo, and then just brought it home. So happy to be back in the points. Been 2 races now, not in the points, so really happy to pick up a few and got to keep pushing on. It's still early days.
A much better weekend for McLaren, massively in that fight for best of the rest, showed phenomenally actually all the way through the weekend, practice, qualifying and the race. And although Carlos Sainz once again had his now traditional bad luck, he got it out of the way on Saturday as he came across yellow flags for Kevin Magnussen's Haas that ultimately robbed him of the chance to get through into Q3, made up for it in the race with his first points of the year. Carlos Sainz coming home P7, Lando Norris P8, double points for McLaren and a really good day. The luck finally turns. Well done, great race.
Thank you. Yeah, especially that first stint. I was on a mission there, just trying to overtake as many people as I could. And yeah, after 6 laps, I was already where I wanted to be, which was attacking the Force India. Then they pitted. They all pitted a lap or 2 earlier than me. I tried to go long, but it didn't quite work. The graining was too severe. So I came out behind Lando and Perez, started saving the tires to try and attack at the end. And suddenly when the safety car came out, I don't know what happened, that Perez had a revival of pace. He suddenly found another half a second that I honestly didn't have at that point, and he beat us. No, but it's a shame because I was gonna start attacking him before the safety car.
Yeah, it was a good race. Our first double points finish, which I think is probably the most positive thing today. as a team, we had good pace. Still not good enough compared to Red Bull and whoever else, but it was a good weekend, especially after China, and was a fun race. A bit nervous in the first couple of corners about how tight it was getting, but I had a good start, a good first couple of corners, and led to not a boring race. I couldn't overtake, so it didn't make it as exciting as I would have liked to have enjoyed it, but another points finish, so I'm pretty happy.
Now, we said at the top of the show that poor old Alfa Romeo had a tricky start to the day. That's Antonio Giovinazzi's car. He actually did start on the grid, but he had a 10-place penalty in his pocket for changing the control electronics at the start of the weekend. Kimi Räikkönen was supposed to be starting well within the top 10, but flexi front wing test failed, booted out, pit lane start. But pit lane to points for the Iceman today. One wonders what he might have achieved had that car been found legal and had he started in the top 10.
First of all, to start in the pit lane, it wasn't the plans still this morning, but obviously that's how it went. And at least we got 1 point, but it was difficult. We struggled with switching the tire on or having a good grip. So some laps were better, others were a bit more tricky. But I think it should be better next races.
It is a weekend with no points for Renault, and it had been a pretty miserable weekend all the way through, really. Nico Hülkenberg just hasn't got the love that he needs with this car. He's feeling kind of not at one with it at all. Speaking to him after the race, he doesn't know whether it's track specific or whether the car has started to move away from him and what he needs from his car. That ultimately will, answers to that question we would expect to get next time out in Barcelona. Daniel Ricciardo had a difficult day as well, and a very odd end to the Grand Prix, fighting with Danny Kvyat. Kvyat kind of gave him the space. Ricciardo went deep. They both ran off the track. Ricciardo then pumped the thing into reverse and reversed straight into Kvyat. So we'll hear from both of them now. If we're going to hear from both of them, we should probably fill you in on Kvyat's teammate Alex Albon as well. Not the weekend he would have wanted either. I think Toro Rosso had much better pace than they were showing ultimately during the Grand Prix this weekend, so a frustrating one for Albon. But more frustrating probably for Danny Kvyat, having been reversed into by his former teammate. Here's him and Daniel Ricciardo to explain the situation.
No, I just went forward, and it's, I don't know, obviously it was pretty tight, but I knew I kind of had to try and get him quite quickly. It's when we started getting too close to the other cars, we were killing the front. So I thought I was close enough, and as soon as I went in, I just felt I was going to struggle to make it, and then locked. And to be honest, as soon as I went down the escape road, obviously it's a bit of panic, and it's like try and lose as little time as possible. So I literally just found reverse and started pulling away. And I to be honest, I had no idea he was behind me. I didn't look. So I thought I'd gone quite a long way down, so I was going to get going and then obviously check for cars on track coming. But I honestly had no idea he was there. So bit of a it was going. It looked like it was kind of coming on all right, but now I feel pretty terrible about it all. So just hurts, sucks for the team. I feel bad for them because I think we actually recovered quite well for the race, but just a strange end to that one. But no one to blame but myself.
Tough day for you today. Let's start with the opening of the race, which looked good, but then you seemed to drop back. What had happened there?
Yeah, we faced a big drop of the rear tires. Somehow we need to investigate what happened there because it was quite aggressive and severe. So these things happen, and it caught us by surprise. Then we pitted, and we still were looking for a decent race. But then what happened. So.
Bizarre incident that with Daniel. Obviously, seemingly you giving him the space and him just going off and then driving into you.
I respect Daniel a lot. We've been teammates too, so I have no problems with him. But he just needs to be a bit more patient, I think. And just a few hundred meters later, he had 2 kilometers straight to try and overtake, and that corner is very tight. So he didn't make it. So and then I had to go with him, unfortunately, because he didn't make it. So and then I'll buy him a rear view mirror for the next race. So
another pretty difficult weekend for Haas. Over recent weeks, this team have gone well in qualifying. They've struggled in the race. During qualifying yesterday, it didn't really go so well for them. Kevin Magnussen told us, I hope that tomorrow is a reversal of fortunes for what we normally have, because if we've had a horrible qualifying, hopefully we'll have a much better race. Sadly, that didn't really come to pass. The car's not looking great at the moment at all. K-Mag P13 at the flag. Romain Grosjean DNF. He ran deep a couple of times and then sort of pulled out of the race. Weren't sure why. Here's his explanation.
Brake pedal to the floor. So yeah, safety reason we had to stop the car.
Okay. Up to that point though, how was it going?
It was all right. as good as we could hoping for. First few laps on medium tires were very, very difficult, but then the soft grain and then came back a little bit in the fight. Was really pushing the car to its limits. I had a lock up in 15, went straight, had to go a bit in the escape road, which wasn't great. And yeah, then tried to hang in there, but the pace wasn't there.
Now, had I been a bit quicker, there was a lovely camera shot here, but it's just been closed off. Feels like we're back at testing. It's been a very, very difficult weekend for a team that's going through a very, very difficult time. Of course, George Russell had that problem in FP1 when the manhole cover came up and ripped the floor and cracked the tub. Robert Kubica crashed in qualifying. There were worries he may have cracked his tub in that crash. Luckily, he didn't. Both cars were able to start today's race. And again, for another Grand Prix, both of them made the checkered flag, which after what is undoubtedly the team, or what has been the team's undoubtedly most difficult weekend of the Formula One season, is another fine result and something for them to hold their heads up high about, bringing both cars home to the checkered flag, which not every team, of course, managed here in Baku. Let's talk to Robert Kubica, because we haven't heard much from him recently. It has been a tough weekend, but he came back from that crash with some aplomb to get another race finish under his belt.
Yesterday after quali was not looking great, but the guys have done an amazing job. With in difficult situation we are. Additionally, my mistake yesterday definitely didn't help, and yeah, we start from the pit lane. Straight away leaving the pit lane, the first braking into turn 2, I get warning. I was nearly in the wall again. So I get warning that I have to remember that under braking is not easy, and yeah, I actually try to bring car home. Happy that I achieve it, honestly, after yesterday's mistake, and again thanks to the guys. And yeah, unfortunately we did have some more issues than in China, with one part of the which was not giving me at all confidence. In fact, in the race, especially in the beginning, I was very bad on the braking, and I did have this feeling already Friday. So yeah, we'll have to go sort at least this, because it's really taking out your confidence.
A familiar scene then here in Baku at the end of a Grand Prix, as Mercedes prepare. In fact, Lewis Hamilton's already there for another 1-2 celebratory photograph. And there is your race winner, Valtteri Bottas. Pole to the win. Swapping those boards around as the press await to take the photograph that will adorn the front pages of the newspapers around the world. Again, for a 4th time in a row, Mercedes not just victorious, but a 1-2. Nobody expected this to be the way this season, and that's genuine. Nobody in this pit lane, and I think least of all the guys over here at Mercedes expected this to be the way. Oh, you're naive, people will say, and have said on social media. You're just drinking the F1 Kool-Aid, Will. You're giving us this opinion because you want us to tune in. You don't really believe it. I genuinely do believe that Mercedes are as surprised with this run of form as we are, because I still believe that when we left Barcelona, these guys had the best car in Formula One. I still believe they have a car that is capable of fighting not just for the podiums, not just for the dregs of a 3rd place, but for wins and for the World Championship. But they have to get it all right, and at the moment they're not. They're stumbling, and those guys over there are taking advantage, and you can't give a team like Mercedes a sniff, because they'll take it all. As Seb said, the pieces are all there on their mighty Rubik's Cube. They've just got to get it all together, and one of those pieces, as we said in Bahrain, as we said in China, and as we're saying here again today, is race strategy. Because they were flat-footed once again. Can they pull it back? Will it be a 5th victory for Mercedes next time out in Barcelona? One thing is for sure, that was the track at which we came up with this genuine belief that these guys were the championship favourites. If we go back to Barcelona and they're not on the top of the timesheets and the podium, those questions will start to have very much more solid answers. That's your lot from Paddock Pass. We will see you in Barcelona in 2 weeks' time. Upgrades the length and breadth of the field after this opening gambit of the season. Can't wait to get there. Thanks for your time. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you later.